just like they drew it up, huh? Oh, my gosh. Holy cow, what a ball game. Everybody, welcome. Arkansas, in dramatic fashion, they find a way to get the dub despite having a huge lead in the second half over the Mississippi State Bulldogs. What a game. Holy cow. I debated making this a call-in show, but decided not to, and I kind of wish I had. I'd love to know what some of you think, but please let me know in the chat. I want to know. I want to know what your thoughts are. There's a poll on your screen. If you look at your live chat, hold on. Let's scoot this over. We got to give that gold chain to somebody, don't we? We got to give that gold chain back there to somebody, and I don't think it's much of a debate, to be honest with you. He's on the thumbnail, by God. Let's just go ahead and get it out of the way, shall we? Should we just go ahead and do that? Who gets the gold chain? Who is it? Oh, I don't know. How about Mr. 21 points, 10 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, 2 blocks, 0 turnovers, Mr. Jonas Aidoo? Are you kidding me? Oh, God. I'm going to wear this on your behalf the rest of this postgame show. What a game. Jonas Aidoo getting the gold chain, son. Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. What a performance. Arkansas, it was a little bit like back and forth there in the first half, but I've got plenty of notes. We're going to talk about it. Arkansas with a Vanderbilt loss should be a 9 seed in the SEC tournament. Guys, they're locked. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. They're in. You're in the NCAA tournament. Celebrate. Don't worry about what anyone else says right now. Arkansas is in. Come on, baby. Another quad 1. Let's go. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, TB with the 3s, too. By the way, oh, man, so much to talk about. Again, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes. Better than the best, baby. Direct Service Overhead, the first and long time sponsor of yours truly, of this show, Tusk Talk with Ty. That's Direct Service Overhead. Emergency service 365 days a year, man. Free estimates. Give them a call. Closing in on 1,000 total 5-star reviews. They're the best. Doesn't even matter who else is out there. It's just DSO. Oh, my gosh. We're going to have to look at some SEC games later on, too, and look at some odds. So many things to go over. Hey, by the way, the month of February was fantastic for Patreon. Shout out to anyone who joined. I saw today we had a new joiner today, and that was awesome. We had someone join the $4. Eric Marler, congratulations, man. Thanks for joining Tusk Talk with Ty. Patreon. He is a part of the $4 crew. He's a $4 guy. All right, that poll, Hogs are locked in for the NCAA tournament. 87% of you say yes. 2% of you say no. 11% of you say win more in SEC tourney. Again, obviously, I'm with the 80+%. I think Arkansas is in. I don't know how else you look at it with the quad 1 wins, picking up another big win over Mississippi State. You swept Texas. Again, we can go over all the wins, beating Michigan on a neutral floor, which was a big game, on the road to Kentucky, and showing that they can win on the road, and then coming back, with just a 7-man rotation. What Arkansas has done outside of the South Carolina game, by the way, your only ugly loss of the year, and it just happened to be on the road against the quad 2. Like, you know what? I just think you're in. It's just fantastic. The job that Cal has done is nothing short of terrific. The job that Cal has done, I think it turns out, as far as, the game has passed him by, Kentucky fans haven't watched enough Arkansas games. Apparently they want to run their mouths, but they're not actually watching the games. Even though I can't stand Kentucky, I had respect for their fans because I thought they knew ball. Now, we'll see what their matchup looks like in the NCAA tournament, assuming they're 11 seed and they face the 6 seeds. According to Jerry Palm, those 6 seeds are pretty mighty. Okay, now I don't know that you're a lock for the 11 seed. I don't know. The SEC tournament might be a predictor of that, right? Who knows? You might have to lose out to keep the 6th seed. If you win, you might get a bump. Again, it depends on who that's against, right? You think we were getting hot at the right time, Ty? I do, Mr. DC Kyle. They're getting hot at the right time. The South Carolina team, this is what turns out that I can tell based on the last several games by Arkansas. And I'll tell you what that is. The game we thought might be a fluke coming into this, right? The question was South Carolina a fluke or was Vanderbilt a fluke? I think today, I don't care that you played these guys at home, okay? I don't care that this was a home game. Does that matter? Yes. Was Bud Walton rocking when the momentum was there? Absolutely, okay? But Arkansas showed, they got up to a 16-point lead after trailing by as many as 5 points in the first half. They fought. They got their way into it. They came out in the second half. Again, we're going to talk about all this in a minute, but they came out in the second half and played some terrific ball. They showed me that the South Carolina game was the game that was the fluke. Now, if you go one and done in the SEC tournament, again, I still think you're in. I don't know what happens as far as seeding, and it might kind of put you up against it might put you in the corner a little bit. You're going to hear a lot of negativity. I still think, my God, finishing with 8 wins in the most competitive conference with this many quad 1 games with only one really bad loss. I think it doesn't matter what you do in the tournament. You want to win, though, right? You want to you feel like you locked it down, which I think they did, but of course you want to win the next one. And if I'm Cal, I'm telling these guys in the locker room, great win, we did it. Now we got to go put a exclamation mark on what people think about Arkansas. We got to put an exclamation mark. We need to go out there. We need to win on Wednesday when we play Wednesday in the SEC tournament, no matter who that is. So, again, congrats to Jonas Aidoo getting the post-game MVP gold chain, baby. He did it. What a game. What a game. Millions in TV ratings. We've been in, says Camo Gang. You might be right. I said after 7, that was it. Again, TV ratings, yeah. The Cal effect, I just felt like 7 was enough. But I think 8 locked you in. 8 locked you in. And now the win more in SEC tourney numbers starting to drop. It was 11. Now it's down to 8%. It continues to drop. So, again, take that poll. Ty, real coach, NCAA bound. Oh, Lord, it's more Sam Pittman. Listen, man, Hog Blitz, we're not talking about Sam Pittman or Hunter Yurchek right now, okay? We're not doing it. Grind and Shine TV, we dancing, baby. Let's go, Hogs. That's right. Arkansas, you're dancing. That's all there is to it. Let's go over these first half notes really quick. MSU opened up in the first minute with a couple of fouls. That obviously, that's never good. You don't want to open up with a couple of fouls. That's not uncommon. But for Mississippi State on the road inside Bud Walton Arena, that's certainly not one way you want to start. Brazil, this was huge. Brazil had 2 fouls alone in the opening 3 minutes of the first half. Would not see the floor again until the second half. MSU was trying to get points inside while Arkansas was trying to knock down the long 2s and trying to knock down perimeter 3s in the opening half, or for the opening 6 or 7 minutes. Billy Richmond checks into the game in his first offensive possession. He turns the ball over. Let's not act like he didn't have an impact, though. Again, I'm writing these notes as things are kind of happening and just my observations, right? Hogs trailed by as much as 5 points in the first 12 to 15 minutes, only to fight back and to take the lead in the first half. MSU constantly crushed momentum the Hogs gained with a response on the offensive end of the floor. Now, I said as much in Discord, and I had some naysayers who were like, I'm going to give you the Well, who was wrong? You were wrong, my friend. Arkansas absolutely kept allowing Mississippi State in this game. You can also argue the officials, too. I thought there were some nonsensical fouls in that opening half. It was kind of bad, but at the same time, Mississippi State was answering on the other end of the floor every time Arkansas had a momentum shift. So they constantly crushed momentum the Hogs gained with a response on the offensive end. So we have to understand, Mississippi State, this is not a typical Jans coached team. Jans is a defensive guy. He's going to he's going to get turnovers, and his team is not going to turn the ball over. He's going to make you play down and ugly, and defensively, his teams don't typically give up the kind of points they've given up this year. they've turned the page on that. They're now an offensive team this year. You know, they're scoring good. They might be giving up more points, a lot more points than a Jans team that I would think would do. But they're getting it done on the offensive end. So that has something to do with it. You can't let a team like this, that's built like this, you know, who can go into the depth, who could go 9 guys, 8 quality, probably 8 quality with a 9th guy in rotation. You can't let this team hang around, and they did that. They kept answering, and I had a feeling if they couldn't just step on the gas, which I thought they did in the second half, and still they came back and made it a ball game. Here's what I thought was huge in the first half. Now, there are several things we could go over in the first half that was like, wow. How about Wagner? He flipped the script on MSU around the 5-minute mark, knocking down a contested 3, and then following offensive possession, after a big Z block, he hits Richmond down the court for a big assist to put the Hogs up 3 and force MSU to burn a timeout. So those 5 points, when Arkansas went on that nice little run in the first, those 5 points were in large part thanks to Wagner. It was a part of a 10-2 run the Hogs would go on. Wagner impacted this game in multiple ways, and that was one of them. The foul on Aidoo at the rim, where he clearly made contact with the ball, was absurd. The officials in this one might need to take a breathalyzer on their way to their cars. I'm telling you, I thought the officiating was shit. I'll just say it. It was not good. And I do think they in large part, but they had an impact on this game, calling everything. People were complaining about the announcers taking over the game. The officials wanted to make this about them, and I thought it was just gross. Like, stop. Both teams were at the line way too much. Another opponent scores a 3 in the final 30 seconds of a half. Very confusing why this seems to happen so much against Arkansas, as Mississippi State, again, another team scoring, knocking down a 3 or a contested 2 in the final 20 or so seconds. I don't know why Arkansas struggles here when they have been able to kind of hang their hat to a degree on their defensive play, only in the most crucial moments of a game, in the final seconds of a half, final 20 or 30 seconds of a half, give up another big 3. Like, that's a momentum swinger, or it cuts into your momentum. Not good. And I thought that 3 was big, but Arkansas, it's not like they didn't completely, you know, they held their own in the first half. In the first half, sticking there, Mississippi State was 13 of 36, 36%, 31%. That's what they are in the year. They're a 32% shooting three-point team. I think they average about 25 threes a game or so. They were automatic at the line. They were 5. They took 16 shots outside in the first half. They were 13 of 14 at the free throw line. That's another reason why they were able to hang around in this game. They kept getting shots or opportunities at the charity stripe, and they knocked them down. Their bench, despite that 9-man rotation, didn't do a damn thing in the first half outside of Murphy, who had 6 points. Josh Hubbard, who was at this point in the game 2 of 7, had 12 points. It wasn't until the second half that this man would really go off. Hey, make sure you guys like, share, hit the subscribe button, please. If you're new here, share the content. I really do appreciate it. Arkansas in the first half, yeah, man. DJ Wagner was I thought huge in the first half, as well as obviously Aidoo with his 11 points. But Wagner 10 points, 3 assists, 2 boards. But he did turn the ball over a couple of times. He's kind of had some weird, like where he's looking for that post play. He turned the ball over twice trying to get the ball to Aidoo. That was obviously something I think Cal was telling him to do that. And, you know, Mississippi State knew what was going on there, and they forced a couple of those turnovers. I'm pretty sure both times those were Wagner looking for that post play out of Aidoo. But guess what? It worked. I mean, Aidoo was just making everything. So in the first half, Aidoo would have 8 rebounds, 2 blocks, and 11 points. We knew then this dude's he's gonna have a game. He's going to have a game. Now, why was he able to do this so much? It was clear that Mississippi State wanted to take the long scorers out. They wanted to take the perimeter guys out. They didn't want the guards to have as big of an impact as they know they can, you know, despite the fact, I mean, Nelly was 2 for 3 outside in the opening half. I mean, he had 8 points in the first half. You know, I mean, how often do you hear Aidoo and Wagner and Nelly Davis being your 3 leading scorers going into half? Like, that's not really ever a thing, at least with with Jonas Aidoo. And by the way, Richmond had 6 points off the bench with 2 assists and a board. He did have 2 turnovers, but he also had a block. It was a very athletic block. These are all first half numbers. So, first half, you swung the momentum. Mississippi State could not pull away. Every time they got up 4 or 5 points, 2-3 different times, they couldn't pull away. So this was 2 teams kind of doing the same thing to each other back and forth. This was honestly, outside of the officiating, was one of the funnest games I've watched all year. And yeah, obviously we're saying that because Arkansas won this game. Had Arkansas lost, we'd probably all be like, well, this was the worst game ever, right? But still, we know deep down that was actually a really fun game. This is why you like the game. This is why you like hoops, baby. This is why you like basketball, for games like this. The rest of the game, all right, Brazil returns after missing 17 minutes in the opening half. He comes out in the second half, gets an aggressive rebound, and then a couple possessions later knocks down the first 3-point shot. Gave the lead to the Hogs at 4 points, or increased the lead to 4 points with 18:53 to go. Hogs would go on a 10-0 run. Now that might be, they said it was I think they said on the broadcast it wasn't a 10-0 run. I thought it was a 10-0 run. That might be a little off. But they went on I think it might have been like a 10-2 run at the very least. Regardless, just go on this run and dominate on both ends of the floor. The Hogs' largest lead was, at first, it was 11 points. At the time of me noting this, it would end up being 16. MSU answered most of the game other than the Razorbacks 10-2 start, which allowed them to go on later a 12-2 run to make the rest of the game pan out the way that it did. Now, I'm going to tell you what I thought might actually be quietly the play of the game. We could talk about Wagner's, the Wagner plays there in the first half that I mentioned. We could talk about Aidoo's play around the post. We could talk about Brazil's effect on this game, which was huge. How about Nelly Davis? Under, a minute and a half or so to play, he gets a wide-open 3 look. Wide open. I said in Discord, he had time to do his taxes. Who's going to pass that shot up? You've got the chance to be the hero of the game, and instead he passes the ball off, which would eventually lead to Arkansas getting that lead after it had been tied. What a play by Nelly Davis. I'm going to give him all – that was a super senior play. We need to get, I want to give him the I don't know. I don't have another. Well, I got that other chain, but I'm not going to get it. But I want to give him the play of the game. That was huge for me. I thought that was big. Arkansas winning was a result of that single passing up of a wide open 3 by a guy who, that's what he does. That's what he was brought here to do, is to help spread that floor out and knock things down outside the perimeter and be an effective scorer, right? In all 3 levels. And he's not really done that most of the year, but today he was pretty hot. He was kind of feeling it for a little bit, and he passed that up. What a play by Nelly Davis. I think he deserves an applause for that. That was incredible. Hog Strong says, unbiased Brim. What's up, Brim? How you doing, man? Ty, this team is coming together at the right time. We could make a run if we do not tire out. Oh, my goodness. We're only 20 minutes in. I would have guessed. I don't look at the timer until late. I would have thought we were 40 minutes in. Billy Richmond is my hero. Billy, outside of one of the things that Billy Richmond does, he checks in, and it's immediately he's going to turn the ball over, or he's going to pick up a foul. But then once he gets going, he's he could be one of the most dynamic players on the floor, not for very long. He's not someone who's going to go out there and score 16 points, but he can impact the game on both ends of the floor. What I'm trying to say, he can come in and have an impact, whether that's getting steals, maybe get an assist or 2, knock down a floater, or finish at the rim with a silky smooth play to the rim. That's something he can do. He does have a tendency, as soon as he checks in, I'm kind of halfway expecting him to either score or turn the ball over. But it was fantastic play by him. Let's look at how this game ends up going. Okay, let's take a look at just how did this end up? What do we end up with? What are the final numbers in this game? Mississippi State goes up. They shot a lot better. Their shot selection in the second half was terrific. Outside of that start in the second half, the rest of this game, the outside of the first several minutes, they figured it out. They were getting stops, or not stops, but they were either able to turn Arkansas over a little bit or force them to take a contested shot, but they answered every single time they had the ball in their hands. I mean, my God, you don't score 92 points without doing that, right, without being able to respond. And they did exactly that. So, again, they end up shooting 32 of 73, which is almost 44%. Remember, they were in the 30s in the first half. Almost 38% off 32 attempts. 32 shots outside, 12 of 32. Those are winning numbers. If you're shooting close to 38% on that amount of shots, those are winning numbers. How about 16 to 21, almost 70 or right at 76%. 12 offensive boards. They would end up with 29 rebounds. I can't wait to talk about rebounds. 15 assists to just 2 total turnovers. That is incredible. Again, when you look at these numbers, you would probably expect Mississippi State to win this game. You saw how close it was in the first half, and look how the score ended. 1 point difference. 1 point. What a play, too, in the final minutes. We can't forget about what they did on defense, too, in the final possession there for Mississippi State. They ended up with 5 steals. Again, just incredible. 2 turnovers. I mean, their bench responded with Harris with 18 points, Murphy with 13. A bunch of rebounds. They ended up with 6, 8, 10, 11 boards from their bench. I think they out-rebounded their starters. 4 of their 5 starters end up with double digits. Josh Hubbard was just kind of automatic. Now, he took a lot of shots, 4 of 16. He wasn't effective. Hubbard wasn't effective. But he still had an impact, right? I mean, obviously in the second half, knocking down those threes. I hate the way that guy shoots. I hate the way he kicks that leg out. I don't understand. I understand we're going to call a foul there for player safety. You got to give the guy room when he lands. But when you're kicking your leg out, and this is always, I know this has been a thing. This isn't brand new. It drives me crazy that that's on the defense, this guy kicking out his leg. It's absurd. I hate it. I'm not saying it was the wrong call on the floor. I think that rule needs to change. If you're kicking that leg out and you're shooting, you're making that attempt and you're kicking the leg out, I think that call ought to be flipped. I think that should be an offensive foul. And if you make it, obviously that bucket's no good. I think that should be a foul on the offense. I'm sorry, but when you're kicking that leg out, you're creating the contact, or at worst, it's just not a foul. At the word, or at best, I guess, it's not a foul. I hate the way that guy shoots. But Josh Hubbard ends up with 17 points, 4 assists, just 2 turnovers. Matthews for them played really well as well. He had 6 boards, 3 steals, 4 assists, and 13 points. They did have a couple guys in foul trouble. Melendez and Matthews both ended up with 4 fouls, but nobody fouled out in this game. All right, let's take a look at Arkansas. Here is what they did on the stat sheet here. 55%, guys, that's winning, okay? Anytime you're hovering around 50%, like, you got to feel pretty good about what you're doing. 93 points shouldn't shock you when you're shooting that well and you're taking that many shots. 56, they go 31 of 56, 9 of 21 outside. That is some fantastic shooting. 43%, dude. That's what I mean. And then you're almost 82% at the free throw line. You're 22 of 27. Aidoo was 5 of 10, which he's not a high free throw shooter anyways. Again, 5 of 10 there, so it's not like he racked up a whole bunch of points at the free throw line. He does shoot in effect. This is called effectiveness. 8 of 11. 8 of 11, and then so that's 21 points after his, and then when you include the 5 free throws. How about 6 offensive rebounds by himself? He has half the total offensive rebounds that Mississippi State has as a team, and one more than the rest of the Razorbacks as a team. So 10 total rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks, 21 points. That might be SEC Player of the Week kind of numbers. That's absurd. What a game by him. And Wagner ends up leading in scoring. Wagner is definitely in the running for like the gold chain of the game, right? 24 points, 5 assists. He did have 4 turnovers. Again, don't like it. The more north of 2 you go on turnovers, you start coming down a little bit. But the turnovers altogether, though, Arkansas, they had 7 in the first half, just 3 turnovers in the second half. 10 total. They did end up with 21 assists and 10 turnovers. Incredible. I mean, these are when you're scoring 80 or more points, when you start looking at these numbers, you understand how they got there, and that's exactly how they got there. When you look at their free throw shooting, the shooting outside for Arkansas effective at 43%, and then overall shooting at 55% is absolutely fantastic. Again, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. I appreciate everyone for being here. Take the poll. 88% of you, and I'm with you, 88% of you, we got a whole bunch of votes. You agree Arkansas is locked for the NCAA tournament. Am I crazy? Tunicking? I think you're – okay, am I crazy thinking – that looks like tunicking. I don't know what that is. Am I crazy thinking we should have had the ball with the shot clock off after TB's missed layup? I'd have to go back and look. I'm going to be real with you. I'm going to be real with you. I was trying to monitor Discord. That might have been a play that I missed. Tim Wood says Cal has an argument to win SEC Coach of the Year. Started 1-6, lost his top scorer, started getting it, and then losing a top scorer again. Finished 7-4, and most likely a dance berth. We know he won't get it. It's going to go to Auburn, Bruce Pearl. It's going to go to Pearl. I mean, come on. The toughest conference in college basketball, maybe the toughest conference in college basketball history. It's going to go to the guy that wins that in the regular season, and that's Bruce Pearl. But I think he deserves to be in the conversation, 100,000%. Unbiased Brim says, blessings, Ty, and my Hog brothers and sisters. My flight is about to take off. Hey, man, I appreciate you, Brim, for being here. Thank you so much. Make sure you share it, Brim. Make sure you share because sharing is caring. Billy Richmond plays like I used to in high school, just a lot better. Unless maybe I read that wrong. Unbiased, I agree. I think late in games it should be Wagner and Nelly taking the shots. At one point, we were shooting 64% from the field. I think you're right. I think at one point I did see it somewhere around the 60s. I believe that's correct. Holy dangerous. We are dangerous we are if our bigs can cook like this. Yeah, Brazil enough cannot be said about Brazil's performance today. He didn't end up with a big game on the stat sheet because he missed out. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, he did have a double-double. Right? Brazil had a double-double. But think about what he could have done. I'm talking about scoring-wise. What he could have done had he didn't miss the 17 minutes of the first half. Think about what he could have done. Now, he ended up with 23 minutes, according to ESPN. But just think about what kind of game he could have had. You can also make the same argument, like how does that change the rotation? And who knows how that affects the game. You still ended up winning. I think this went exactly as well as you wanted to. As far as, getting a 60-point lead and then only winning by one, it kind of feels like this is how it was meant to happen, It's just how it was meant to happen. Brazil not play the first half, most of it, 90% of it, and then Aidoo just absolutely cooks. But yeah, if you're going to have – I mean, think about it like this. You scored 93 points, and Big Z only had 6 points. He didn't knock down a single three. It just goes to show you how different – everyone can have an impact. Now, Aidoo, is he going to do this again? Odds are unlikely, right? Odds are unlikely. However, the Aidoo effect lately has been pretty damn good. Going back to Missouri when he only played 15 minutes in that game. He had 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, 1 turnover, 6 points. You fast forward to Texas, he scores 2 more points, at 8 points, 2 steals, 1 block, 2 assists, 4 boards. Go to South Carolina, where his performance is completely overshadowed by the awful play by Arkansas and losing the way they did to South Carolina, 72-53. What does he do? 10 rebounds, 10 points, 1 assist, and 2 steals. And then against Vanderbilt, he has quietly a really good game, 7 points and 8 boards. And then you fast forward to today and the kind of game that he had. It was absolutely spectacular. Aidoo is having an impact, and it is so good to see. Him and Brazil both are having this kind of impact without Thero. Once again, this speaks to what Cal was talking about. I've had to coach like 3 or 4 different teams this year. And Musselman used to say the same thing. You remember that? Musselman would talk about the rotation, and it would take him a few games in SEC play to kind of figure it out and how he was playing with a different team. That was different. He had a little bit more depth to work with. This is the opposite, where Arkansas is having to do this by force because they don't have anybody else. Again, it just goes to great coaching. Now, what he does from this point on, I don't know. Okay, maybe he is a one and done in the SEC tournament. Maybe he is a one and done in the NCAA tournament, or no more wins this year. Who knows? But the job that he did this year, like someone mentioned in chat, why he should at least be in the conversation for Coach of the Year, even though we all know he won't get it, and he probably shouldn't. It's because of what he's been able to do despite the injuries and finding someone else on the floor, putting them in. It's almost like finding an extra piece to your puzzle that wasn't there. He had to shape it himself. Pretty fantastic coaching. I'm just going to say it. I don't know. I mean, here's the question. Could Muss is a fantastic X's and O's coach. Okay, you talk about an elite talent evaluator. That guy could do it, right? Could he have done what Cal has done this year? I don't know. That's going to be the one that's going to, I'm going to think about, right, as we continue on throughout the season. Like, I wonder if Muss could have done this. Could Muss have been able to shape this team despite how thin they were, losing Boogie Fland, one of the top freshman point guards in the country, if not the best, and then losing your dog in Aidoo Thero, and then being able – again, you don't have another piece. It's not about like, oh, well, now we're going to pull this other guy we haven't really given a whole lot of minutes to. No, it's like you've got 7 guys and that's it. Whereas Muss had to do it with a wider range, I feel like, most of the time. Not every year he was here. He was thin at certain positions his time here. I don't know. I'm not saying he couldn't, but I'm just curious if he could. Muss is a damn good coach in his own right, and I think that he definitely deserves respect. I haven't checked on USC. They're not getting in. Last I looked, they were definitely out. But different challenges, right? Obviously, I think Cal, he made a mistake. I mean, he deserves all the criticism in the world for not filling out the rest of the roster. 100%. Kentucky fans, when they criticize that, they're right. The Hog fans that criticize that, they were right. But his ability to just continuously, despite losing the pieces of clay, to keep molding this into something outside of the South Carolina game, I'm just saying, pretty impressive. I'm just saying, man. Muss would have quit on this year's team like he did last year, in my opinion. That's probably a good point, Bobby. Muss quit because he was already out the door last year. Yeah, also true. I mean, it never seemed like, I don't know, it never seemed like he was all in last year. It was weird. We called it. We called it right here. Our Discord called it. We knew something was up. Ty, if Kentucky gets kicked out before us, I'm going to laugh my head off in the NCAA tournament, says Mr. DC Kyle. Hang on. We can't laugh. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. We can't laugh. Read article, USC men's averages 1,000 less fans than USC women's. Men average 5,000 attendance. Dramatic difference versus Bud Walton. Well, they don't really have a good product on the floor. And let's not act like Bud Walton has been fantastic this year. I think that's probably has something to do with athletic director decisions. I just hate to say it. I don't know. Ty, if we can win a couple of tourney games, would this season show you can do damage with a short roster? Well, it shows that Cal can. I don't know that most other coaches could. Right? And again, it goes back to that question. Could other coaches accomplish what Cal has accomplished this year? I mean, this is insane. This is crazy. In a year where the SEC is the strongest it has ever been, could realistically send 11, 12 teams to the tournament. I think we got to come back down a little bit to reality. I don't know. I'm hearing people say 13. I'm like, whoa, I don't know. But they could send 11 or 12 teams to the tournament. To be shorthanded the way that he was, to then turn out what we have What we've seen lately, again, excluding the one game, but we can't overlook it. South Carolina should absolutely be something that you think about. But outside of that, the last 3 of the 4 games this year, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just incredible, right? Incredible. I don't know. Charles Taylor, what's up, Oinkers? If we get in, I predict Sweet 16. Oh, when you're talking about I'm telling you, man, when you're talking about a 7-man rotation, it just kind of changes things a little bit. I God only knows, right? And I've seen some. What is it? Palm over on CBS has Arkansas playing Clemson, the 6th seed. Oh my God, that's not going to happen. There's no way Clemson drops to a 6. No way, man. At minimum, they're probably a 5 or a 4. I have a hard time. I know the ACC is bunk. I know it's crap. I also saw another one that had us playing, I think Marquette. Was it Marquette? That doesn't sound right. Maybe it was Marquette. Who knows? John Oliver says, "Nah, we play Clemson and we are done round 1." I don't know how they drop to a 6. I mean, again, I get their quad 1 wins are low. They're not a it's not like they have a bunch of big time wins, but no way. There's just no way you end up with, if Clemson ends up at a 6 seed, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? I'm going to look up. I'm very curious where Arkansas ends up going in the in quads, or in the net ranking. I'm very curious what happens after today. Right now, good Lord, what's going on here? Right now, in the net, Arkansas is a 30. No, they're at 40. They were at 39. They're at 40. 5-9 quad 1 before today. These were updated yesterday, so obviously that's going to change. You're going to get a little bit of a bump. That's your 6th quad 1 win of the year. And I'm telling you, like, these teams they're putting in that are like almost locks to get into the tournament. I don't know about Kansas. Kansas is 5-10 in quad 1. Clemson's 4-2 in quad 1 games. They've played 6. They've played 6 quad 1 games. But they do have a winning record. However, they are 8-1 versus quad 3 and 8-2 versus quad 2. While they are undefeated, maybe that's, I don't know, but they're undefeated on neutral floor. They're 2-0 while they're 9-3 on the road. So they have 9 road wins. Arkansas will end up with, 4? Is that right? That might end up, maybe that's why you're sticking at the 11 seed unless you get some wins in the SEC tournament. I don't know, man, if those 6 seeds are going to be that strong, if you're going to put, it was like Memphis, Clemson, I think Marquette, Mississippi State was at one point a 6 seed. That might drop today. Some of those 6 seeds, if they stay put, that's going to be very tough. Hey, if you're just joining us, make sure you like, share, hit the subscribe button. Join Discord. I've got that pinned on the chat. That's what that is. Go join Discord. We just started a new cycle, a new XP cycle. This is cycle number 3. Michael Kerper has won the last 2. Damn it. That can't happen. He can't win a 3rd one. Someone get in here and beat his ass. He can't do it again. But congrats to Michael Kerper, who won the first 2 cycles. He won this one. This one will end a little bit quicker. It's only a month turnaround. So come on in. Come get in on the fun. Again, Eric Marler just joined Patreon. Come join Discord. Remember, for Patreon supporters, we got spring camp football starting next week. I'm going to be uploading some content for Patreon members only. So make sure, if you're a Patreon member, come on over into Discord and you'll have access. Assuming you connect your accounts, you'll have access to all the Patreon stuff. Also, shout out to all of our legendary status members: Anthony White, Austin Foster, Brian Frazier, Bradley Caldwell, Mr. Ledbetter, Cameron Gray, Chris Shea, Daniel Hadley. I can't go over all these. Donovan McCourt, Go Hogs for Life, Jay Cause, James Swope, J.M. Scott. That's Jumpmaster Scott in our Discord. John Goodman, John Hawes, Megan Dubois, is how I like to pronounce it, Michael Kerper, Nicole Hawes, Patrick Wendell, Shane Meyer, the other Mike, Timothy Wisent, Thomas Nunley, Trey Carter, and Mr. Will Watkins from don't clip that. Don't clip that. From Natural State Sports, not Natty State Sports, from Natural State Sports. So shout out to Will, legendary status member. Oh, no. Someone's going to get me. I'm going to get caught in Discord. No, I'm no Dupois. Dupois. I don't know. Toothless says revenge game. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Cal on being 0-5 to start the year. They put us in a coffin but forgot to put in the nails. Oh, my God. That's fire, dude. That's Cal's – that's his quote. Oh my God, that is like a WCW or WWE. That's like someone in the middle of the ring saying something. Like I could see the Undertaker saying something like that. They put us in a coffin, but forgot to put in the nails. That's fire, dude. Wow. SC beating Tennessee in Knoxville right now. What I'm telling you, the SEC. Sometimes I think it's drunk. The South Carolina-Arkansas game, to me, was just drunk. Cal has swag on full display after this win. Absolutely, dude. We all said they were down and out. Who didn't? Who didn't have these guys down and out? Right? Who didn't have them down and out? And then here they come. Are they red hot at the right time? Are they red hot at the right time? And I think I absolutely. I guess the question is, are they hot enough, right? Oh my goodness. What a you got to love it, man. Got to love it. Checking around the SEC. Let's look at the scoreboard here. Let's take a look. What do we got going on? Yeah, South Carolina up on Tennessee in the first half, 34-31. Alabama up on Auburn right now, 20-15. We've got A&M and LSU later today. Ole Miss and Florida. That one could be interesting, but I expect Florida to absolutely curb stomp Ole Miss, but I could be wrong, man. I'm telling you, the SEC's drunk. OU at Texas, and Kentucky beats Missouri. Wow. Damn it. What? And then Vanderbilt did end up losing to Georgia. So I guess that one just ended. 79-68. Oklahoma, Texas. That's a big one. That'll be a big one for sure. What are we looking at with Ole Miss? Ole Miss at Florida right now. I can hear those sirens. Here we go. There it is. This is BroThrow. You guys already know. Promo code Tusk, all caps, TUSK. Right now, Florida's at 12.5 over Ole Miss. 12.5. Peer-to-peer sports betting. It's the best, man. They're based out of Fayetteville, Arkansas. The founders are from Fayetteville. This is their site. It's coast to coast. Border to border. Ole Miss at Florida. 12.5 with the total points at 158. There's already some bets down there. That'll be an interesting one. I don't know if I would take Ole Miss to cover that or not. Wow. Maybe not. I think Florida's just that much better. Charles Taylor says, hard to keep a good hog down, especially with Coach Cal. Couldn't agree more, man. What are we at on the poll here? Hogs are locked in for NCAA tournament. It's still 86% yes. Win more in the SEC tourney, 13%. That number went up. I just disagree. And 1% has completely fallen to, or no, it's fallen to 1% rather. Wonder how far up SC moves up in the net with a win at Tennessee. Could it be enough to make any difference with the quads? I don't know. We'll report on it next week, man. We'll be all over it. We're going to be all over it next week. So, again, shout out to the sponsor here, BroThrow. Promo code Tusk. Maybe if you think Ole Miss covers that spread, go lay the money down, son. Go do it. All right, that is it. I'm going to enjoy the rest of my Saturday. You guys, I appreciate every one of you. Sponsors, shout out to both of them, Direct Service Overhead and BroThrow, to all the Patreon supporters who helped make February fantastic. Shout out to you, to the viewer. Make sure you guys on your way out help support a small and local channel, Tusk Talk with Ty, by like, sharing, subscribing, and all that fun stuff, huh? All right, hell of a win for Arkansas. I'll be back next week as we get ready for Wednesday, as we get ready for the SEC tournament. Looking forward to it. All right. Let's end that poll. It ends up at pretty good number here. Pretty good number. I like it. 85% of you say yes. Ty, good show. Look forward to your football coverage. I appreciate you, Hog Blitz. Thank you so much. I will see you guys next week. Great win. Arkansas in dramatic fashion. They find a way in the end, and they do it. I'll see you guys next week. Be good. Have a good weekend.